I'm Daryl, so I promise not to bore you. I know it's about 4. I think today I will just try to keep my presentation very simple. We could have a chat after that if you want to find out more. I don't think I have to run through this. So yes, I've been in the private sector, I've been in the government, back to the private sector now. Basically, I've gone through one circle in the built environment, so I know what's going on in construction. I also built the technology myself today. This is Pylon AI. We are trying to be the central intelligence hub for construction. But I'm not trying to sell you things on AI, overhype things about AI. I'll try to be as practical as possible and explain to you how we try to achieve this. This is our vision and mission. You don't have to read it, just gotta listen to me, is that we try to be the single source of truth for the built environment. What this means is that today, if you are trying to digitalize your process, you have to buy 5, 6 products. And a lot of times your product becoming white elephant, you don't use it. And even if you use it, it's typically someone forces you to do it, right? We try to do it differently. When we try to sell the solution, it should give you direct benefits in terms of financial, in terms of productivity. This is a very quick snapshot of the kind of data loss that we have in construction. These are real data. It doesn't come from me. I did not generate this from AI. This was through research. About 95.5% of data is actually lost in construction. So you'll be amazed at the kind of things that is happening today. If you translate that to financial cost, that's about 1.8 trillion US dollars. So how do we try to solve that problem? One way we try to do that, and if you forget whatever that I've shared today, just remember this slide. We look at data a bit differently. So for data, how we define it is that decision, alert, tracking, and action. Which means that if any of our product or any of our modules do not deliver this for you, scrap it off. And you should ask yourself as well today, if any of the solution that you buy and it doesn't give you data, scrap it off, because it is not meaningful. Ultimately, any solutions or any digital products that you have today or you try to spend money on it should give you this. Like I say, if you forget anything that I've said today, just remember this. So how we try to do it at Pylon is that we call it the +65 methodology. +65 is our country code, so it's a little bit catchy. On the left-hand side, you will see that these are the existing sources of data. You have data coming in from your traditional sources like your Excel, Words, paper-based even. And you also have IoT devices. And I think some of the speakers mentioned about visual analytics. We provide IoT devices. But on the other hand, if you look on the right-hand side, what we are trying to get from construction site are these 3 variables: manpower, materials, and machinery. No matter how you look at it, it will always revolve around these 3 ideas. So the key is to actually extract as much data as you can from those 3 variables so that you can achieve center. At the center is what we call QUEST: quality, expenses, safety, timely progress, and sustainability. So if you recall my earlier slide about data, that data should be able to give you QUEST. So for us, we focus very specifically on these 3 areas, and this is how we try to do it. We try to extract the data directly from the BIM model. So which means that you do not need any manual input in terms of trying to understand the drawings. I think in Thailand, BIM adoption is still relatively low, so we give another option. We extract from PDF, or we extract from your Excel file. We try to keep it an open source. By doing that, then you start to create the workflow process by extracting more data from materials. So for materials, we're actually doing precast. So if you're a precaster and you're keen to find out how we track our precast supply chain, I'll share with you more later on. For machineries, we install the IoT devices directly on the machine itself, on the engine relay. I'll explain to you what exactly we track. And for manpower, it's no different from giving each of you today here a tag, and I'm able to trace your whereabouts, exactly what you do, and even whether you are idling or you're actually moving. This is some snapshots from our deployment in Singapore. The whole idea is we want to connect data. While using digital solution is useful, the key here is really to connect these data points. And when you connect the data points, you realize that there's a lot of insights that you can extract. So when we talk about productivity, some people would say that it's in the form of man-hour. Some people will say that it's in the form of man-hour per volume casted. But we think that there's more to that. And the only way you can find that out is when you start to extract data. And we have realized very meaningful insights through our ongoing deployment. These are some of our current key features in our product. Like I mentioned earlier on, we provide the IoT devices. We built the construction-centric platform, which means that our platform is not generic. It's actually built for the construction sector. We also create customized digital forms and checklists because regulators requires it, compliance requires it. And last but not least, which is the most important of all, is data integration and data analytics. Otherwise, whatever data that you get from the construction site is actually meaningless. You've got to make sense out of it. These are some of the key agencies that we work with in Singapore. We work very closely with the government because in Singapore, you follow the government, you tend to be safe. You don't follow that, then you've got an uphill climb. These are some of our existing clients and partners. These are not small builders. These are pretty large. We also work with technology providers as well. So Novate is one of our technology partners, if you have heard of them. They are a construction management platform. We are also a pre-approved vendor with the regulators there, which means that if you use our solution, you are able to enjoy some form of subsidies. I thought I just wanted to share this a little. This is actually what we developed in Singapore, an IDD use case. So for those in Thailand that is just taking that small step of wanting to digitalize your process, this will come in quite handy. You can also find this online, by the way. I didn't create this. So this is actually from Building and Construction Authority Singapore. Now, how we look at things. We try to put a map onto existing technological advancements that you see in the industry today. What I show you here, these are the technology that are present and that are actually coming up in the future. So those in green, you'll see it today. If you go to exhibitions in Hong Kong, in China, in Korea, you will see some of this technology today. Those in orange or in red, not quite there yet, although some efforts have been done to do that. For example, 3D printing. While a lot of people are doing 3D printing, the reality today is that you cannot 3D print a lot of your structural components. It looks good, but in terms of translating it into actual use cases, productivity is quite questionable. For Pylon AI, we are very focused. We look at those 4 areas that I've highlighted: Internet of Things, big data analytics, artificial intelligence, and data integration. So we are not trying to solve the world problem. We're just trying to narrow down the focus and try to deliver something meaningful. This is our business evolution roadmap. On your left, this is our current core offering, which I'll explain later. And going forward, we are trying to build up our AI capabilities. We are looking at things like predictive analytics, intelligent optimization, automated decision making. So those things actually requires AI developments, and we can actually tap on existing open source model like OpenAI GPT-5. Now let me just give you a quick snapshot of our manpower technology and how do we do it. Imagine that I deployed the technology at this convention hall. Basically, I could geofence it, and I will know exactly who is in this arena, where you are at, and what you're actually doing. Now, in construction, it's obviously not as nice as this. It's actually quite dynamic. So the problem today that we have is that the way we track our workers is actually by manual means. Supervisors going down onto the ground, doing checklists. We try to eliminate that. And I think in Singapore, we are trying to move away from those mundane process. We are trying to automate it. And the only way you can do that is actually through geofencing. Now, the power of our geofencing technology is that it is battery operated, which means you don't need a power source except for one device, which is what I call the master brain, the gateway. That is the device that will send the data back to my server. Now, the tags, these are things that I actually place on every single worker. So these are unique, and every worker will be given one. The locator is just a triangulation. So you know your Apple AirTags? You would, maybe if I could give a simple layman example, Apple AirTag is actually a comparable solution. But you can't use that in construction, right? You can't afford one Apple phone for every worker. So this is the way to do it. These are some of the things that we can deliver. We provide real-time location tracking and safety monitoring, which means that the moment your worker goes outside of your dedicated zone, it will actually trigger an alert into whoever that you want to, and we can do it via Telegram channel or WhatsApp channel. This is automatically done. Rather than today, you don't have those insights. You don't even know. Some people may say that you can use visual analytics, but visual analytics don't identify the workers. You can take visuals, you can take images, you can take videos, but they don't tell you who they are. But our solution does, because we map every worker uniquely. This is another use case to improve coordination and communication, and to provide with you some productivity and workforce insights. Now, I'll give you a quick demo of our product so that you have a better understanding. I hope the video works. There should be some music. So this is our dashboard. This is, in fact, our version 2 that we have just recently launched. So this is going live next week. So here, what we are trying to do is that we just give you very quick insight in terms of our dashboard. Now, we try to keep the platform as simple as possible because we are not trying to fill it up with useless things. The key thing here is that these data are real-time and they cannot be edited, which means that you have that verifiable process and authorities can validate it. You know exactly where your workers are and what exactly they do. I'll now jump on to machinery. I apologize if I'm going a bit fast because I know we are running out of time. Now, this is our proprietary GPS tracking technology. So what we do is that we actually install a GPS data tracker on the machine itself. What we can potentially do with that is actually to extract things like coordinates, your engine statuses, your acceleration of it, your fuel consumption, and a couple of things more. It depends on the maturity of the machine. If you're dealing with newer machine, you have a digital system, we can pull on more data. But if this is the older machine, then you're dealing with analog system. So then the amount of data that we can extract is less. But the whole idea about this is that in Singapore, there are cases where your machine are actually idling. So the engine is off, but nobody knows about it. There are other cases where you book for the machine, your subcontractors, but they don't use it. So that becomes an inefficient process. We are trying to capture all this, because the idea is that we want to improve your project timeline. So by tracking the usage of your machineries and holding the people accountable for it, the idea is you're supposed to be able to shrink that project timeline and then change human behavior as well. So you don't just anyhow book the system, or you don't just anyhow turn on the engine. You'll be more particular about it. These are some of the things that we are currently tracking: excavators, crawler crane, boom lifts, hoists, forklifts, and generators. I saw there are some exhibits over here. I think some of them, they might come with some digital tracking system, but a lot of them, they actually use it for their own purpose. They do not provide the data to the builders. But what we do is we actually provide the data to the builders and to the rental companies, because some of these machines, you actually lease it, right? And it's very important for you to track this. This is actual photos from the site that we have installed in one of our projects. This is actually a DESTA project. It's a government project, and we are using a lot of machineries. So we literally open up the engine relay to install our tracker. A quick snapshot of our prototype dashboard. These are some quick inputs that you can quickly pick up in terms of your performance of the machineries. But I think for clarity's sake, I'll show you a demo as well. Okay, there should be sound as well. So over here, we try to map real-time data with planned production schedule or planned itineraries. We provide a lot of insights in terms of the vehicle data. We also can do authorization access, which means that if someone uses the machine and they are not authorized to do it, it will actually create a red flag in the system. We also track in terms of the certification and the licenses of the operators as well, because a lot of times you have operators that is not doing what they are supposed to do. We also do maintenance tracker as well, so this gives you an insight as to when you should be doing the maintenance of the machine. A lot of times you don't really know when, but what we're trying to do is that you know exactly when you're supposed to service them. So this is to reduce downtime and to maintain as much uptime as possible. This is in terms of operator compliance, so you'll have an insight as who comply to the usage of the machines. And we develop these based on input being sought from our partners and industry regulators. Now, in terms of materials, I'll focus on precast because this is our bread and butter of construction methodology in Singapore and I think across the world going forward. A simple illustration in Singapore is that you have your precast production in Malaysia and then you deliver it to Singapore site to do the installation. So what we do, sorry for the font abrupt there, is that we extract design drawings, right? That is the first part that we have to do because you want to know the unique components identification or what we call the panel markings. Then we track the fabrication process during production. So you know exactly when and as and when your precast is ready to be stored. Then we deal with the inspection and delivery forms. These are things that is more compliance in nature. And then ultimately it leads to claims. Because ultimately in precast is that, I'm not sure in Thailand, but in Singapore is that you only get money when you deliver the precast components to the construction site. But a lot of times you don't have data for it. So what we do is that we do this. Real-time tracking as well. We actually tag the precast components. And when we tag the precast components, when it leaves the gate, it automatically detects. And once it arrives on site, we automatically detect. So real time, you will know the statuses of your precast components. And I think to a builder, you'll find this immensely useful. You no longer have to rely on your precaster sending you manual data, which is happening today. So real-time status update, inspection pass out for delivery and receive. Very straightforward. This is a recent deployment. I just went to Johor Bahru before flying to Thailand. Actual deployment. We tag the precast at the rebar, or you can actually tag it near to the precast components. We did some initial setting to geofence the area. So this yard is about 5 hectares. So we actually plan to geofence the entire area and tag every single precast components. So this is, I would say, in replacement of your traditional way of using QR code or RFID system. Great, I've come to my last slide, second last slide, I promise. What I'm looking for, technology partners, because we want to work with as much solution providers as possible because we believe in integration. I cannot solve everything on my own, and I believe that there are very meaningful insights that I can extract from relevant partners, whether is it in fintech, visual analytics, CMP. We're also looking for collaboration with builders and precasters. To be frank, this is my first time in Thailand, thanks to Oliver, invitation. So I'm looking forward to see whether there is any potential for us to do deployments over here and to collaborate. With authorities, I'm not sure how that works here, but I'm also looking forward to do some sensing on that. And last but not least, this is my final